Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Nick here. Today we are going to be talking about HBAR, as you guys already see from the screen. Whenever I have the screen open, I just feel bullish. I don't know about you guys, but I just feel bullish coming to this website every single time. Hello, future. I love it. Hello, speed. Let's get into it. First and foremost, the reason why I have this open is because I want to go into the overall network. You guys already kind of read this overall. Fast, secure, fair, stable. We've kind of already talked about it, but the reason why I want to talk about this is we are rising in transactions still. And I'm going to say, you guys could already tell from the title, right? You know, is HBAR better than Cardano, right? So I see a lot of people talk about Cardano. They ask me, "Hey, where do you see ADA going? What's your like long-term targets, stuff like that." Um, I don't like ADA. I don't like Cardano, and I'll go into why because I know a lot of people will ask me, well, why, and we'll definitely go into that and talk about it. But for the most part, I think that Hedera could definitely rival Cardano 100%. If we look here on the daily, right, we're doing about 3.9 million transactions. In the hour, we're about 120. Week, 30.9 million. Month, 143 million. And these statistics are incredible because if we come over here, now this is from the future is HBAR. Shout out to him, and also shout out to HBAR Tower for making this graphic. Now this is talking about May 13th, 2021. So we don't have this is, overall kind of old, if you will. But I didn't see any new ones with Cardano yet. So if there is one, I apologize. But anyways, we see Hedera versus Cardano. Now, I do want to say Hedera, this is from 2019, August. So we are about into the 3-year mark, if you will. And or actually 2-year mark, I should say. Sorry. And then Cardano is going into the 4-year mark practically. So we see DLT type, DAG based Hashgraph, which is superior technology than blockchain based POS. And then we also see transactions per second, 10,000 plus, which we already know that it could do 100,000 plus unthrottled and at some point unlimited transactions per second. Cardano 1,000 plus, which is nothing incredible. Ethereum 2.0 could possibly kill Cardano, if you will. Finality 3.5 or 3 to 5 seconds, sorry, 5 minutes. Then we also see transaction fees fixed at less than 1 cent. Then we also see 30 cents plus variable, so it's not fixed, which is a big, pain point overall. Then we also see total transactions. Now this is up. I don't know if I could see the total transactions. All right, so I was able to find this website, which will tell us, total transactions and also total accounts too. So we are currently almost at 1.3 billion transactions, 277,000 total accounts. So we are moving very fast. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much up since May of 13th of this year. 1.15 billion. It's at 1.2 billion, so we went up over 100 million, if you will, 130 million. And then Cardano is at 7.4 million plus, which is nothing, too crazy. And then we also see 9.4 million plus in March of 2021 TPDs. And then we also see 40K plus. Now, this is the big pain point for me in terms of, ADA. ADA really strives themselves on having so many DApps, their partnerships, etc. We see DApps 500 plus confirmed on Hedera, 0. We don't know. We don't know on Cardano. Forkless, several forks of Cardano. 232,000 plus accounts, which we already kind of said, 277,000, so it's up almost 40,000. And then we also see 910,000 plus, which, hey, that's totally fine. We understand it's from 2017, not 2019, so hey, it is what it is. Now here is the big pain point: energy consumption, 85,000 plus kilowatts an hour, 6 million plus kilowatts an hour. So we know that this is a big pain point overall for utilization, because we've talked multiple times on why the United States loves green energy and green assets. We also talked about why it's a big pain point overall overseas as well. So this could be, a turnoff for many businesses and also many, countries that want to implement this for like CBDCs, or just into the financial system overall. Now, we also see estimated network cost $116,000 plus, and then $1 million plus. So significant differences overall from finality, transactions per second, fees, total transactions, TPD records, DApps, number of forks. This entire list here should tell you why Hedera is rivaling Cardano and pretty much putting it to sleep overall. So I thought this was very interesting nonetheless. Now I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about XRP. I know that I make videos on XRP a lot, but hey, it is one of my favorite holdings and it is one of my massive holdings. Now we're going to go into a little bit of speculative kind of knowledge here. Now this is coming from Digital Asset Buy. Now shout out to him. But we see MIT News. So this is the MIT website, and we see here, MIT professor Silvio Micali. Now, if you don't know, Silvio Micali invented, or I should say, worked on a lot for Algorand, right? He's pretty much the inventor of Algorand, and I've talked about Algorand multiple times before, and I've talked about why I hold it and why it's incredible. But we see here, CSAIL launches new initiative for financial technology, fintech at CSAIL. And if we come here to the second image, we see MIT professors Andrew Lo, Silvio Micali, which, Silvio Micali, Algorand, like I said. Now, down here we see Ripple. And we recently seen some pictures arise. Actually, he posted it here, right? ALGO and XRP can live very happily together, which is very interesting here because we are seeing a lot of news regarding this. Now, what's interesting is we see at the same time Professor Andrew Lo, Media Lab's Gary Gensler, which we know now is the chairman of the SEC, along with Professor Silvio Micali, Ripple, and I mean BNY Mellon. I don't know the correlation here. I'm sorry if I'm not up to date on that, but I don't know the correlation there. But these are initiative members, which technically Ripple was in bed with Gary Gensler at this time. Very, very interesting. We also see, Citi and Fidelity and stuff like that. So a lot of overall, corporate financial, institutions here, like even the NASDAQ and stuff. So very interesting. Silvio Micali has been on the faculty at MIT. Again, it's pretty much telling us right in front of our faces. Now he's saying this goes in the All the World's a Stage file, and it is funny because now I know that I don't go into too much speculative stuff. I don't like it, but this just was very obvious for me to look at, and there's just too many things aligning here, right? And let me know what you guys think on this, because I think that just too much stuff is aligning here. Gary Gensler obviously knew about Ripple at this time. If anything, they should have mentioned something and said, listen, what you guys are selling is a security. But nobody said it because nobody at the time even had that in mind until, and this is what I think personally, until the financial system was at a threat that Ripple could possibly take over in terms of the digital currency. Now, I'm not saying digital currency as it will be the world reserve currency or anything like that. Like, I'm not a cult leader for XRP, but I do think that Ripple will play a huge role in the future digital financial market. And I also think that Hedera will too. I talked about how I think they both will be utilized greatly. But I do also want to talk about some other stuff. So we are seeing a little bit of FUD from the SEC, which is funny, right? Because at this point, we see a second U.S. regulator has taken aim at cryptocurrency derivatives this week, with the SEC warning investors about the risk of Bitcoin futures in a new alert. This is so laughable at the same time because, we see the SEC trying to pretty much play hero, if you will. We know that they're not, right? We know at this point that the SEC is just trying to save face, if you will, because they are not a hero for retail investors. They just aren't. They can't even claim that they're trying to help investors when this entire case between XRP and the SEC has just been a mockery. It's been a show, if you will. Again, the whole world's a stage because it is. We feel like we're watching a play out in front of us because of how just lackish this entire case has been. The argument has just been terrible overall. But anyways, let's jump into this now. I do want to talk about this briefly. And like I said, I know that I'm mainly overall, a crypto channel, if you will, but I also talk about the market, in general, because stock markets, housing markets, the financial market, everything goes hand in hand with crypto at the end of the day. Crypto, relies heavily on the stock exchange. And right now we're seeing breaking U.S. headline inflation rose to 5% in May, beating expectations. Core CPI up to a whopping 3.8%, highest since 1992. And we can really see this, right? So we see headline CPI, and then we also see core CPI. So, headline CPI is pretty much up to this 5%, and then we also see the core at 3.8% here. Now, the reason why I talk about inflation rates, and we actually see John, who I actually see like my tweets and respond to a lot of my tweets, overall say 5%, and that's with lots of exclusions. So yeah, I mean, I think that we are much higher on this. I will, beg to differ that we're probably up at this 10% at least, right? Because we know that inflation has been on the rise forever now. We're seeing the housing market pretty much breach, astronomical levels. I think currently right now we're going to be seeing a stock market crash very, very soon. Now, I do hope and I wish that we get through a full-on bull run before that happens, because we already know that stock market exchanges, when they do crash, they crash hard. That's why we even go back to that March 2020 dip on Bitcoin. That March 2020 dip on Bitcoin actually resulted from the stock market crashing. It was during COVID, and it was at a peak level of COVID. So, a lot of people were selling their stocks. They were thinking pretty much the world's ending, and it caused a crash. And that's why I talk about this, right? I want to keep you guys safe for something like this happening, because inflation is at an astronomical level. Nobody wants to buy a house right now. Houses right now are inflated in terms of price astronomically. An $80,000 house is now like a $230,000 house. Inflation rates are astronomical, and I definitely want to prepare for a stock market crash. So in terms of something like that, the best thing to do is possibly kind of hold, some holdings that are down significantly, and also hold money on the sidelines, in terms of stable coins, or possibly just holding in US dollar for some point in time for a buyback on a very low, because once that crashes, we'll probably be in a bear market at that time. So most alts will be down 80% at least, so they might get pushed down a little bit lower. But I thought that I would let you guys know about that and let you guys know my thoughts. Let me know your guys' thoughts on inflation, because I definitely think that inflation's much higher than they're trying to say. Just my opinion. But also, let's look at the chart for HBAR, right? Because we are currently still trading above this 20-cent support zone. This 20-cent support zone is very hard to break. And let me just make sure that this is on the 20-cent mark. There we go. So this 20-cent mark is very hard to break. We bounced off of it actually today, if you will. And I think that this is a very hard support zone to actually break. Now, if it does get broken, like I said, we could impulse down to 15 cents. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we even retest 16 to 18 cents overall if this Bitcoin relief rally plays out like I believe it will. I mentioned it in my last video on XRP that, we could possibly see at the end of the day, a relief rally up to that $46,000 mark on Bitcoin, with a drop down to that $20,000 to $26,000 zone. I'm more thinking, maybe 26 to 28K overall. So we'll definitely see what happens with that. But I'm definitely happy overall with what's happening with HBAR. It's outperforming most massive alts. And if we look here, right, in terms of Cardano, I think that it's definitely going to be outperforming it very soon. It already is, but I think that's going to pretty much put it to sleep very soon in terms of, hey, people think that Cardano's the future right now because it is getting a lot of publicity, but I think once HBAR gets publicity, it will already be too late to buy it cheap. It's very cheap right now, and it's very undervalued overall. But nonetheless, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and turn notifications on, it, as it does help the channel grow immensely, and I do appreciate it greatly as well. But anyways, I hope that you guys are having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out.